All praises to Yahweh, by Hashem Shah, Wahara Kakwadash, the honors to the elders and the apostles, great millstone, Shalom to the hopeful elect, seeking to be the elect of the nation of Israel. They're scattered abroad amongst the heathen, some look like the heathen. We give them 144,000. Preachers, teachers, and prophets, Shalom. Real quick. It says DC National Guard shooting suspect believed to be Afghan national, sources say. So if he's an Afghan national, they say he's been here since 2021, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna play the video. And they can, if this is his nationality and he's an Afghan national, or whatever country he's from, they can label this, or they should label this as a terrorist attack, right? Domestic terrorism. I don't see them labeling this as domestic terrorism, because the individual is not from the United States. But depending upon the citizenship, man, I don't know what the hell they're gonna do. But I see them labeling this as an international terrorist attack. And we all know what happened on September the 11th. 2001. The World Trade Centers, the planes hit the joint. Well, we know what it is. We know what that was all about. And you saw how they introduced the Patriot Act, right? Remember, these things are going on to implement laws and legislations. All right. So I just typed in. I was curious how they could, label this. But I typed in Google what classifies a terrorist attacks, domestic or foreign. It says AI overview the classification of a terrorist attack and as foreign, international, or domestic primarily depends on where the activity occurs and the origin and affiliation of the perpetrators. Both types involve violent criminal acts intended to coerce a government or intimidate a civilian population to further political or social objectives. Domestic terrorism involves acts committed by individuals or groups within their home country's territorial jurisdiction directed against the country's government or population without foreign direction. Now, if I'm not mistaken, they say he been here since 2021. I don't know if he got citizenship. I don't know. But I watched like 3 minutes of 3.5. But we'll let it play. But again, regardless if it's a terrorist attack, regardless if it's international or domestic, it says, and again, remember, laws, legislation going to be passed because of this to take away your rights, more rights. It says key characteristics, location occurs primarily within the territorial jurisdiction of the United States. Perpetrators, individuals and or groups inspired by or associated with primarily U.S.-based extremist ideologies, political, religious, social, racial, environmental, etc. So what the motive is, I don't know. We'll see what they push. Because, it's all about what they push. Okay? It's all about what they push. So we can only go by what's being pushed. All right? Because remember, prophecy is going to be fulfilled anyway. Direction, the activity lacks direction or influence from a foreign terrorist organization or state. International terrorism involves acts that transcend national boundaries. Key characteristics, location, scope. The acts occur primarily outside the U.S., transcend national boundaries. In terms of perpetrators' locale, the methods used or the people targeted or involve a foreign terrorist organization, right? So we still got to see. They may say it in the video, I'm not sure, but within the first 3.5 minutes that I watched, they just say he was an Afghan national and his age, but I forgot the age. Again, they're going to tell us. Designated, it says perpetrators, individuals and or groups inspired by or associated with designated foreign terrorist organizations or nations state-sponsored. Designation, the U.S. Secretary of State formally designates specific groups as foreign terrorist organizations, FTOs, based on specific legal criteria. Key distinction in U.S. law. A significant difference in the U.S. legal framework is that while federal law defines both, there is no specific federal criminal offense explicitly labeled domestic terrorism. Instead, individuals who commit domestic terrorist acts are charged under existing federal or state criminal laws related to the specific crimes committed. Murder, assault using explosives. Conversely, providing material support to a designated foreign terrorist organization is a specific federal crime. Alright, so hey, we'll see how they spin this thing. Alright, so we see they're putting the narrative together. Again, DC National Guard shooting suspect believed, so they're not sure. They're still coming up with the narrative. Believed to be Afghan national, sources say. Alright, and you see Trump shaking hands with Mama Damani, whatever the nigga name is, and who the decided prince and all that. So hey, the guy could be one from one of them sent. Alright. So hey, we can see how this thing play out and expect more attacks and things of that nature, man. Stay pretty pronounced. How about Shalom? Shalom. For the video.
We begin with breaking news this evening. 2 National Guardsmen in critical condition after being shot in Washington, D.C.
No. They keep spinning the story. 1 minute they're dead, next minute they're not. You see? This 2 minutes ago, where they said the 2 National Guard members were shot and killed, which they were murdered. Okay? So they still sending 2 different narratives out. Get your damn shit together, man. That's how you know we're at the end. Because they so sloppy. Everybody's story is different. So that's why we always got to wait and see, you know, how things play out. That's why we got a constant report. You know, when things change and we wait later on to see what's going on, and that way you get the full picture. You see? It's 26 minutes ago. Now she's saying the 2 were critically injured. All right, but no, the last report that we brought out, it said the 2 were shot and killed. So let's just see, man, you know, what they do with this thing, because it's already starting off sloppy.
Afternoon, it happened just 2 blocks away from the White House. The mayor of Washington, D.C. says the 2 guardsmen were targeted in the shooting. They were taken to area hospitals in critical condition. 1 suspect taken into custody and then taken to an area hospital for treatment after being shot 4 times. There are no other suspects at this time. D.C. police say they have not found a credible motive for the attack at the time. The FBI leading this investigation, FBI Director Kash Patel, giving an update this afternoon on which agencies will help in the investigation.
So that's where they need that motive. That's going to determine if it's a terrorist attack and what type of terrorist attack. All right?
Since this is an assault on a federal law enforcement officer, this will be treated at the federal level as an assault on a federal law enforcement officer. The FBI will lead out on that mission with our interagency partners, to include the Department of Homeland Security, Secret Service, ATF, DEA, and we're thankful for the mayor's assistance in this matter, the Metropolitan Police Department and their skills in investigating homicides and gun shootings in this city is exceptional. All right, guys, here with Charlie McAvoy and Charlie McAvoy,
Sorry about that.
McAvoy Plumbing.
CBS News reporter Erica Brown has reaction from the White House. But first, let's go to CBS News senior crime and public safety producer Anna Schechter with more on this. And Anna, I know you have new information about the suspect. The suspect entered the United States in 2021. He's an Afghan national, had been residing in Washington State, and 29 years old, and carried out this targeted attack. So that's what we know at this time. We are waiting for a presser. It sounds like it just got canceled. So we were hoping to hear more from officials. Unclear if they've just pushed it back, but we were expecting to be hearing from officials in the next hour or two. That's where we stand. Now, we hear that both of the injured National Guard troops are in critical condition, gravely wounded, and the suspect was wounded as well by gunfire and is in the hospital in the custody of law enforcement.
Anna, you just released some more information about the suspect. Again, where is he living, and where was he currently living at the time?
He was from Washington State, 29 years old, entered the country in 2021, is an Afghan national, according to multiple law enforcement sources. Our sources, my colleague Camilo Montoyo Galvez, he's been talking to his sources at THS, Nicole Skanga as well, and they have a name that's been circulating amongst law enforcement. They've pinned that down. They're looking at the immigration file, and they are trying to pin down a motive, investigators are asking him questions, and we're hoping to get more information as the evening goes on.
Absolutely. So the shooting happening just blocks away from the White House. Are we going to see stepped up security in D.C. as a result?
For sure. Absolutely. D.C. already has a lot of security, but that doesn't stop a lone wolf from being able to conceal a weapon like a gun, unfortunately. I mean, that's what we wrestle with here in our society. Security versus personal liberty. And so it's impossible to completely rule out that a lone wolf actor can carry out an attack like this. I want to remind our viewers, just about 6 months ago in May, somebody opened fire and killed 2 Israeli embassy employees. They were leaving a Jewish museum, which happens to be across the street from the FBI Washington field office, which is known to be a very secure area, but he was able to bring a gun in. Just like in this case, the suspect, this 29-year-old man, brought the weapon to a busy metro station close to the White House. This time of year, lots of tourists milling around, very busy time of year, and was able to open fire and gravely wound 2 National Guard troops, and we're told it was a targeted, intentional attack.
President Trump's deployment of the National Guard was ruled illegal by a D.C. federal judge over a week ago. So why were the National Guard still there?
Well, President Trump has leaned into this policy of putting National Guard troops on city streets around the country, and it's been going back and forth in the court system, and they had not been pulled back. Remember, he used a very rarely used statute to deploy the National Guard in other cities, but in D.C. proper, he actually had the power to do it, but there was a time limit. It was about 30 days of a time limit that then extended. So it's this murky area with the law, and it's been very confusing, actually, what is allowed and what is overreach.
Anna Schechter. Anna, thank you. Now I want to bring in CBS News reporter Erica Brown with more on what the president is saying tonight about the shooting. Any more information released, Erica?
Sorry about that.
Well, Julie,
Juliet, President Trump reacted to this targeted ambush-style shooting shortly after his press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, said he had been briefed on the matter. And President Trump called the suspect an animal and said regardless of the fact that he too, meaning the suspect, had been severely wounded in the shooting, he would still pay a steep price. Now, the president went on to laud the U.S. military, saying in that social media post, quote, "God bless our great National Guard and all of our military and law enforcement. These are truly great people. I, as President of the United States, am with you." Now, Vice President J.D. Vance also weighed in on the shooting during his remarks at Fort Campbell. Take a listen.
I want everybody who's a person of faith to say a prayer for those two National Guardsmen, that they're able to spend Thanksgiving with their families instead of losing their lives, because I understand they're still in pretty tough condition. But I think it's a somber reminder that soldiers, whether they're active duty, reserve, or National Guard, our soldiers are the sword and the shield of the United States of America. And as a person who goes into work every single day in that building and knows that there are a lot of people who wear the uniform of the United States Army, let me just say very personally, thank them for what they're doing. We're grateful to them, and we're praying that they're going to be safe and they're going to spend Thanksgiving with their families. God bless them.
So there, Vice President Vance, in the wake of this shooting, calling U.S. service members the sword and shield of the United States and thanking them for their service.
How is the Department of Defense reacting to the shooting?
Well, Juliet, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth strongly condemned this attack and said something to the effect of, "We will not back down. We will only stiffen our resolve and continue to secure the Capitol." And shortly after those remarks, Secretary Hegseth requested hundreds more National Guard troops to be deployed to Washington, D.C. And President Trump did order 500 more National Guard troops to be deployed in the nation's capital. This, of course, comes months after the president's initial deployment of National Guard troops here in Washington, more than 2,000, as part of his nationwide crackdown on crime. But as you noted there, Julia, that's currently facing a legal challenge. But Secretary Hegseth, in the wake of this shooting, requesting hundreds more National Guard troops to the nation's capital. Julia?
Erica Brown. Erica, thank you. Again, right now, D.C. Metro Police have not discovered a credible motive in the case, but Mayor Muriel Bowser says it appears the guardsmen were targeted.
What we know, Andrea, is that this is a targeted shooting. One individual who appeared to target these guardsmen, that individual has been taken into custody.
And we will continue to keep an eye on this breaking story out of our nation's capital.
Shalom.